I'm writing this in October 2025, exactly 1 year after the most terrifying night of my life. I've debated sharing this story publicly because I know how it sounds, like something out of a horror movie or a creative writing exercise. But everything I'm about to tell you is true. I have the police reports, the hospital records, and the scars to prove it. My name is Sarah, and I'm 28 years old. Last year, I was living in a small town called Ashford, Massachusetts, about 2 hours west of Boston. I'd moved there in August 2024 after landing a remote job with a tech company, thinking the cheap rent and quiet atmosphere would be perfect for saving money and focusing on work. I found a listing on Facebook Marketplace for the upper floor of a Victorian house built in 1889. The rent was almost too good to be true, $850 a month for a two-bedroom apartment in an area where similar places were going for $1,500 or more. The landlady, Mrs. Helen Chun, was a 76-year-old widow who seemed sweet but slightly anxious during our initial meeting. The apartment was beautiful. Original hardwood floors, high ceilings, and those old-fashioned details you just don't find in modern buildings. But there was one odd stipulation in the lease. I was strictly forbidden from entering the basement. Mrs. Chun had installed a heavy padlock on the basement door in the kitchen, and she made me sign an additional clause stating I would never attempt to access it. "It's just storage," she explained when I asked about it. "Old family items. Nothing interesting, but it's very important to me that it stays locked." I thought it was eccentric, but harmless. I mean, it was her house. She could have whatever boundaries she wanted. I signed the lease on August 15th, 2024, and moved in that weekend. The first 2 months were completely normal. I worked from home, explored the town, and got to know Mrs. Chin a bit better. She'd bake traditional Chinese pastries and leave them outside my door with little notes. She seemed lonely. Her husband had died 3 years earlier, and her only daughter lived in Seattle. We'd have tea together sometimes, and she'd tell me stories about the town's history. In mid-October, Mrs. Chin mentioned she'd be visiting her daughter for Halloween week. She seemed nervous about it. "I've never left the house empty on Halloween," she said, stirring her tea anxiously. "Not in the 15 years I've owned it." "I'll be here," I assured her. "I'm not going anywhere. I'll hand out candy and keep an eye on things." She looked at me for a long moment, and I could see her wrestling with something. Finally, she said, "Sarah, I need you to promise me something. No matter what happens, no matter what you hear, don't open the basement door. And if anything feels wrong, anything at all, call me immediately and leave the house." The way she said it made my skin crawl, but I laughed it off. "Mrs. Chun, I promise. I won't go near the basement." She left on October 28th, 2024. Halloween fell on a Thursday that year, which meant most of the trick-or-treating would happen on the actual night. I bought several bags of candy from Target, those mixed variety packs with Snickers, Milky Ways, and Skittles, and I was actually looking forward to seeing the kids in their costumes. The 30th and 31st were normal. I worked during the day, meal prepped some dinners, and watched horror movies in the evening to get into the Halloween spirit. Looking back now, the irony of watching fictional horror while living above something very real makes me sick. Halloween days started normally enough. I had a few Zoom meetings in the morning, finished up work around 5 p.m., and set up my candy station by the front door. I dressed casually, jeans and an orange sweater, nothing fancy, but festive enough. The first trick-or-treaters arrived around 6:15 p.m., just as the sun was setting. They were normal at first, excited kids in Spider-Man and princess costumes, parents taking photos on their phones, everyone saying thank you and happy Halloween. I handed out candy and complimented costumes, enjoying the festive atmosphere. But around 7:30 p.m., something changed. The groups of kids that came to the door started acting strange. They didn't speak. They just stood there in their masks, cheap plastic ones from Spirit Halloween and Party City, staring at me silently until I dropped candy into their bags. No trick or treat. No thank you. Nothing. At first, I thought maybe it was some TikTok challenge or a game the local kids were playing. But it went on for over an hour. Group after group of completely silent children, all wearing masks, all just staring. The last group came at 8:47 p.m. I remember checking my Apple Watch because I was thinking about turning off the porch light soon. There were 5 kids, all wearing identical white masks with painted black eyes. They stood perfectly still on my porch, not moving, not speaking. I held out the candy bowl, waiting for them to take some. They didn't move. "Help yourselves," I said, my voice sounding too loud in the silence. Still nothing. They just stood there, and I realized I couldn't hear them breathing. I couldn't hear anything. No street noise, no wind, nothing. It was like all sound had been sucked out of the world. Then, in perfect unison, all 5 of them tilted their heads to the left. The same angle, the same movement, like they were controlled by the same brain. I slammed the door and locked it, my hand shaking. Through the peephole, I watched them stand there for another 30 seconds before they finally turned and walked away, moving in perfect synchronization. I turned off the porch light, threw the rest of the candy on the counter, and poured myself a glass of wine. My hands were still trembling. I tried to rationalize it. Just weird kids being creepy, probably planned it, but something felt deeply wrong. That's when I heard it, a soft scratching sound, coming from directly below me, from the basement. I froze, wine glass halfway to my lips. The scratching continued, rhythmic and deliberate, like fingernails dragging across wood. Old houses make noises, I told myself. Pipes, settling foundations, maybe an animal that got in somehow. I turned on the TV, volume up, trying to drown it out. But then the scratching stopped, and something worse replaced it. Footsteps. Slow, heavy footsteps climbing stairs. I knew those stairs led to the kitchen, to the padlocked door Mrs. Chun had made such a big deal about. I grabbed my phone and pulled up Mrs. Chen's contact, but I hesitated. What would I say? "I heard footsteps in your basement." She'd think I was drunk or paranoid. I decided to investigate first, to confirm I wasn't just hearing things. The kitchen was dark. I'd turned off most of the lights after the last trick-or-treaters left. I flipped the switch, and the overhead fluorescent bulb flickered to life. The basement door was still closed, still padlocked. Everything looked normal, except for the smell. A horrible, overwhelming stench was seeping from beneath the door, rotting meat mixed with mold and something else, something chemical and wrong. I covered my nose with my sleeve, fighting the urge to gag. Then came 3 slow knocks from inside the basement. I stumbled backward, my hip hitting the counter. This wasn't my imagination. This wasn't the house settling. Something was down there, and it was knocking. The knocking continued, faster now, more insistent. The padlock rattled violently. And then I heard a voice, a child's voice, small and frightened. "Please help me. I can't get out." Every survival instinct, I had screamed at me to run, to get out of the house immediately. But the voice sounded so real, so desperate. "Who are you?" I called out, my voice cracking. "My name is Tommy. I came trick-or-treating, and I got lost. I've been down here for so long. It's so dark. Please, I just want to go home to my mom." My mind raced. What if there really was a child down there? What if some kid had gotten trapped somehow, and Mrs. Chun didn't know? What if I left and the child died because I was too scared to check? I crept closer to the door. "Tommy, how did you get down there?" "I don't remember. Everything's dark. I'm so scared. Please open the door. Please." My hand reached for the padlock. I don't know why. It was like I wasn't in control of my own body. My fingers touched the cold metal, and I felt it shift. The lock was already open, just hanging loose on the latch. That should have been impossible. "Thank you," the voice whispered from below. "Come down. Come see me. I want to show you something." That broke whatever spell I was under. The way it said, "Come see me." There was something wrong with the intonation, something not quite human. I yanked my hand back and ran to the living room, grabbing my phone with shaking hands. I called Mrs. Chun. She answered on the second ring. "Sarah, what's wrong?" "There's someone in your basement." I practically shouted. "A child. He says his name is Tommy and he's trapped down there." There was a long silence. Then, "You heard the voice?" "Yes. We need to call 911. There's a kid down there." "Sarah, listen to me very carefully." Her voice was calm but urgent. "There is no child in that basement. There hasn't been a child in that basement for 72 years. She told me everything then. The house had been built in 1889 by a merchant named Robert Thorne. On Halloween night 1952, his 8-year-old grandson Tommy came to visit. The boy went down to the basement to get apples for bobbing and never came back up. They found him 3 days later, dead at the bottom of the stairs. Broken neck. The police ruled it an accident, but that wasn't the end. Every Halloween since 1952, people reported the same thing. Scratching sounds, footsteps knocking, and a child's voice begging to be let out. Different owners had experienced it. Some opened the door. What happened to them? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to know. Different things. One woman was found unconscious at the bottom of the basement stairs with no memory of how she got there. A college student who rented a place in the 90s disappeared for 3 days and turned up 50 miles away, completely incoherent. The family before me. The husband opened the door on Halloween. He was hospitalized for severe psychological trauma. He kept saying something wore Tommy's voice like a costume. Mrs. Chun, the lock is open. I didn't open it, but it's unlocked. The physical lock doesn't matter, she said. I had a priest bless that door. I put salt lines across the threshold. As long as you don't willingly invite it up, as long as you don't open the door yourself, it can't leave the basement. Did you turn the doorknob? I thought back. I touched the lock. I was about to open it, but I stopped. Thank God. Sarah, you need to leave right now. Don't pack anything. Just get in your car and drive away. I'm calling Father Martinez. He'll meet you there in 20 minutes, but you need to leave now. I didn't need to be told twice. I grabbed my purse and car keys and headed for the door, but when I tried to turn the doorknob, it wouldn't budge. It wasn't locked. The lock was clearly disengaged, but the door wouldn't open. It was like something was holding it shut from the other side. Panic flooded through me. I yanked harder, throwing my whole weight against it. Nothing. Behind me, I heard my apartment door open. I spun around. The door of my apartment stood wide open, and beyond it, I could see into the hallway. Standing at the top of the main staircase was a small figure, a child in old-fashioned clothing, knickers, a white shirt, suspenders, but his face was wrong. It flickered like a TV with bad reception, cycling between a normal little boy's face and something else, something with too many teeth and eyes that were completely black. You almost let me out, it said in Tommy's voice. So close, but that's okay. You can still come down. Come see what's in the basement, Sarah. Come see what happened to Tommy. I screamed and ran for the window in my bedroom. Thank God I was only on the second floor. I yanked it open and climbed out onto the narrow ledge, not caring about the 10-foot drop. Behind me, I heard footsteps, fast this time, running, and the sound of that thing laughing in a child's voice. I jumped. I landed badly, twisting my ankle, but I didn't care. I limped to my car, fumbling with the keys, dropping them once, my hands shaking so hard I could barely grip them. I got the door open, threw myself inside, and locked the doors. Only then did I look back at the house. Every window was dark, except for the small basement windows at ground level. They glowed with sickly pale light, and in that light, I saw dozens of small handprints pressed against the glass from inside. Small hands, children's hands, all pushing against the windows like they were trying to get out. And standing in the front window of my apartment was a thing that wore Tommy's face, watching me leave. I drove to McDonald's parking lot and waited there until Father Martinez called me. He went to the house with Mrs. Chun and 2 other priests. They performed some kind of ritual. I wasn't allowed to be present. It took 4 hours. When Mrs. Chun called me back, she was crying. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I should have told you everything before you moved in. I should have known better than to leave on Halloween. This is my fault. She gave me back my security deposit plus 3 months rent and helped me find a new place. I moved out within a week, and I never went back to that house. But here's the thing that still keeps me up at night. I did some research after I moved out. I looked up Tommy Thorne's death in the Ashford Public Library's newspaper archives. Everything Mrs. Chun told me was true. He died in that basement on Halloween 1952. But I found something else. Something I wish I hadn't. There were 11 other deaths in that basement, spread out over the 133 years since the house was built. Different owners, different time periods, all of them children, all of them on Halloween night. The police and medical examiners ruled them all as accidents or misadventures. But when I read the articles carefully, I noticed something. Every single one of these children went into the basement alone at night on Halloween. And every single police report mentioned that the child had told someone they heard a friend calling them from downstairs. Tommy Thorne wasn't the first. He was just the most recent. And here's what really terrifies me. I went back to property records. Mrs. Chin sold the house in March 2025. The new owners are a young family with 3 kids. The oldest just turned 8. I've debated reaching out to them, warning them, but who would believe me? I sound insane even to myself when I think about it in the clear light of day. But I know what I experienced. I know what I saw. So I'm posting this story online in the hope that maybe somehow they'll see it. Or maybe someone else living in an old house with a locked basement will read this and take it seriously when I say, some doors are locked for a reason. Don't open them. Don't listen to voices, no matter how real they sound. Don't trust anything that calls to you from the dark, because sometimes the things that pretend to be children aren't children at all. There's something much, much older, something that learned long ago that we're hardwired to help a child in distress, and they use that against us. It's October 10th, 2025, as I write this. Halloween is 3 weeks away. I've already bought salt to line my doorways, and I'll be spending Halloween night at my boyfriend's apartment across town. I'll never spend another Halloween alone in a house with a basement, and if you're reading this, I hope you'll do the same.